Welcome to the Trackside Experience. I'm Jason Summerall, your host. I'm flanked by Barry Ambrose down there, my co-host. And between us, we've got Mr. Neil Reid here. Neil, thank you for joining us from Las Vegas Motor Speedway tonight. We're really excited to have the races coming up. We've been itching and scratching to get to this point. Now, love for you to give us the lowdown. Tell us about what we got coming up. Give the fans the 4-on-1 here.
Yeah, so we've got 5 straight days of racing at the Speedway, starting Wednesday night at the dirt track. So Wednesday, Thursday night, dirt track action with World of Outlaws on Wednesday night. The IMCA modifieds will be there. Also the USAC cars will be there. And then Thursday night is the first time ever that the World of Outlaws and the K&N NASCAR K&N Pro Series West will be together at the same time.
Is Joy going to be there with his seats still? Randy enjoy some of the seats out there? It was always nice to see him out there.
I don't know.
That's good time. Check it out next time. He's got this incredible seat design that lets the guys see through the side of the head. That's just revolutionary.
Okay.
Got to take a look.
Yeah, so there'll be that's Wednesday, Thursday, and then that leads into the Tripleheader at the big track, which is Friday through Sunday with Truck Series on Friday, Xfinity Series Saturday, and then Cup Series on Sunday. So should be a pretty exciting week.
That's more than a grand slam. That's 5 great opportunities there.
Last fall in September we did 4 days in a row, and so this spring we're doing 5. So I guess we're glutton for punishment.
I'm fired up though. I enjoyed coming and checking out the dirt action and having the K&N guys out there. Guys like Ryan Partridge, some of those regulars that we get to see.
Yeah.
But moreover, I found the diversity of drivers kind of cool. The range of ages. I mean, unreal. You think of Kenny Schrader and Wallace. Those guys have been doing it their whole life, all the way down to these 15 and 16-year-old kids that are just cutting their teeth starting to get into this industry.
Yeah.
You got your eye on anybody out there? I mean, I know we got Tony Stewart's guy. We're always rooting for him since we're Tony fans.
Well, you got people like Haley Deegan who will be running the K&N race. She won the pole for our race in September and finished second.
She's impressive.
Sheldon Krieg won the race in September, and he'll be back running the K&N, and also he's going to run Friday in the Truck Series too. So there are a couple names, and Derry Thorne won the championship last year. And then World Outlaws, we just announced yesterday that Kyle Larson's going to run. Casey Kane had already announced he was going to be competing in World of Outlaws this year, and then
that's the September race, right? The following?
No, this is Wednesday and Thursday night.
Wait, you're telling me Kyle Larson's going to be here tomorrow?
Yeah, Kyle Larson.
Oh, he was busting his
Casey
chops
Kane.
in the fall. He didn't think he was going to make anything.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, Casey Kane, Christopher Bell, and Rico Abreu are all running in the Outlaws Wednesday and Thursday.
Not going to be home, honey. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting, and then Donnie Schatz, who has dominated the dirt track here in Vegas. I think he's won 4 out of 5 and 12 overall.
Oh, man.
So he's a 10-time series champ, so he'll be there. So that as well, and it's going to be some great competition.
Well, let's jump over to some pavement kind of questions on there. We got a lot of these new kids here in the Truck Series. People like Noah moved on up. Who do you got your eye on the Truck Series here now?
Well, it's hard to say. I'd have to look at the field a little closer, but I think it's kind of wide open. You got your veterans like Johnny Sauter and those guys who are always going to be contenders, and Grant Enfinger has been strong in recent years, and so I think that's kind of wide open.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top on Friday night, because a lot of times the truck races are some of the most competitive and wildest races that we have, and I think it's going to be the same.
What do you think, Barry? What do you got your eyes on?
As Neil says, it's super competitive at the moment. I don't think you can pick an outright winner at the moment. The top 10 or 15 are so equally matched, but they have been the last 2 races. So, yeah, Salter is probably a favourite, but there are so many that are hot on his heels at the moment. So, yeah, I wouldn't like to say a winner.
Well, that equality you talk about, that's what's really, you find that level field, and then you can start to cherry pick from there. And here we are, barely into the season. So, Xfinity now. We've got one of our Xfinity drivers that we really love, Ross Chastain, and we were going to talk about something that ties into your track a little bit here that we witnessed kind of last year in the fall, was the theft of his fire suit. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what happened down there.
I did not hear about that.
Check this out. So it was in September. We were hanging out right after he had won. We were all fired up, DC Solar, woo, awesome.
Yeah.
Leave the winner's circle, go on back over, and basically our home base is in turn 4, right below the scoring pylon. A bunch of group of the Infield Speedway crazies. Shout out to you guys. Those Infield Speedway crazies have a good time down there, so we go down there and hang out down there and do our show, almost on ritual right after the Xfinity race. And as we're starting to set up, Barry and I getting down there, we notice commotion. We're not sure what's going on. And it turned out that Ross Chastain's fire suit had gotten stolen from over in the area. Somebody jumped over the fence, ran through the holler zigzagging between everybody's camps, and took off to Nowhereville.
Wow.
Now, even more ironic to this is the fact that we bumped into Ross this year during the practice a couple weeks ago, the testing session, and talked to him just about this.
Yeah.
And indeed, he confirmed after he won, he took his fire suit off and hung it, or had somebody hang it on the mirror at the front of the truck.
Yeah.
And so some dude jumped right up and over, grabbed that baby, and took off like a madman.
It's like a Tom Brady kind of situation.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought it was intriguing, so I was hoping you had some insight for us.
I didn't. I'd heard about I knew about the watermelon when we did that at the start-finish line after he won, since he's a watermelon farmer, and did that, the watermelon smash on
in case you guys don't know, he comes from Florida, watermelon farming family. So they got him a huge old watermelon. He walked out to the start-finish line and smashed that baby after that win. That was huge.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, so that was the last I'd heard about what happened with Ross that night. So
little VIP action behind the scenes. Trackside Experience brings you stuff you don't expect.
Yeah, it's great to see Ross get that drive for this year after being dropped upon with that other sponsor he had lined up. So probably one of the nicest guys in NASCAR, and always got a moment to chat to the media.
I was full circling this to the DC Solar thing because I even have more insight about DC Solar's whole ordeal. Now, the CEO of that company took off with a ton of dough, bailed out of the country, he's in hiding, government's absolutely looking for him. Nobody knows where he went. Well, his partner came over to the place that I work with, Gateway Classic Cars, and guy gave me a call. He had a bunch of Hummers and just a fleet of vehicles. He suddenly wants to liquidate. I thought, you want to liquidate it, dude? Okay, what are you going to do with that funds? Where are you heading? And I think he truly said, I don't know when I'm going to be indicted all of a sudden. So this DC Solar thing, Ross losing his ride with Chip Ganassi, that's probably a pretty good thing, really, in the big picture. Well, okay, we got the Cup race. Cup race coming up. Barry, who you got your pick here? We saw these guys practicing a few weeks ago.
Oh, jeepers. I think, personally, I'd like to see Larson do something. He's been so unlucky. The last year has been so unlucky for the guy. Been leading many races, way out in front, often a mechanical failure, the odd mistake, but I think after the World of Outlaws race, I think Larson's going to be really fired up. Obviously, the locals want Kyle. The locals are going to want Kyle Busch to win, which won't be a bad thing, but personally, I'd like to see Larson kick it home. That's my man. Right, and I'd like to see Ross Chastain do well as well.
Well, Ross in that 15 car has been pretty consistent all the time and bringing it home quite frequently. So who's your pick for the Cup race, sir?
Well, I don't know. It's tough because
I know you got to remain kind of impartial a little bit here.
I mean, I saw the odds today, which we're going to put a release out about that on Thursday. But I think Harvick's the favorite odds-wise, and then it's hard to root against somebody like Keselowski too. Brad's been really strong at our track, and with the new package, we'll see how the racing changes with the new package. If it's going to be a lot tighter, like NASCAR hopes and thinks, or if somebody like Harvick can pull away like he did last March. I think it's going to be tighter, closer racing. So, puts a lot more importance on strategy and pit stops, things like that. So, I think it opens the field a little bit more and makes it a little more wide open. But guys like Keselowski and Harvick have always done well in here in Vegas, and you got Kyle Busch, who's good wherever he drives.
Guy's a rock star for sure.
Yeah, so I think it's going to
be. What intrigues me about this new package is what Cody Ware told me a few weeks ago was truly that the slower cars can now keep up and be more consistent with the leaders, at least for a longer duration. And when you see a race with a ton of yellows in it, that is what happens. Short runs give those other guys chances to actually get up there and compete. and hopefully at least get it, in the top 10, top 15 in times. Like, look at Garrett Smithley. That kid's been doing it. Garrett, way to go, man. Mighty proud of you. This guy's getting some cup races now, and if we keep this one up, the guy brings it home clean all the time, and that's what you're seeing, or at least the majority, with the exception of Defender right there, not his fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to see these guys on the lower end of the series get to that middle and get up to that top end. So as long as we can keep innovations like this, keeping the lower end guys in mind, hopefully it'll happen.
Yeah, you never know who the big star of tomorrow is going to be, and that's what I think makes the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series so interesting, is that you have the guys that start learning how to win in those series, and then they just gradually naturally move up. Like a Noah Gragson, who's going to go from the Truck Series to the Xfinity Series this year, or already has, and he's got a 11th place finish in Daytona, and I think a 9th place finish in Atlanta. So guys like that are kind of cutting their teeth on the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, and then you never know where they'll be in a couple of years. So.
It's a total revolution with this youth. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the time tonight, Neil. I hope you have a great, busy rest of your weekend for sure.
It'll be busy for sure. We're expecting great weather and big crowds, and so if you're in town in Vegas, come out and see us. We'll be racing 5 nights in a row, so never a dull moment for us.
There we go. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Barry?
Yeah. Yeah, for those that don't know Neil does a huge amount of work behind the scenes at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so we appreciate all his help, and we'd be lost without you.
Well, I appreciate the coverage.
No problem.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, guys. Take
We're
care.
going to have a heck of a lot of fun here for the rest of the night. Now, folks, we got a couple other guests here that are lined up. Barry, you want to go ahead and introduce your guest?
Yeah, I've got one of the UK, let's say England, one of England's most well-known drivers. His name is Martin Short. Martin, all the way from England. How you doing, Martin?
Very good, Barry.
Good. So, for those that don't know Martin Short,
Not many people do.
not many people outside England, the UK and Europe probably know Martin Short, but Martin Short, one of our biggest names in UK motorsport. So Martin, what kicked you off in motorsport? How long ago was it?
1987, bought a kit car out of a local newspaper, like a Lotus 7. Drove it home and thought, wow, I wonder if I can race this. Raced it, and I ended up at Le Mans with a multi-million-pound budget.
It just shows you how things go, because we first met Alton Park, Metro Series, a slight off at Knickerbrook. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do,
Yeah?
Into the sleepers.
Yeah, that's when I came to
1989.
There you go, 89, wow. And Martin, huge competitor in all forms of saloon car racing. We call it sedans in America, but saloon car racing back in England. So you did pretty much everything, and you did Daytona as well.
Yeah, I had a quite varied career. Started off, had a brief foray with single-seaters, had a big crash, decided that wasn't for me. And then got into touring cars, sedan cars with a roof on their head.
Yeah.
And I did all 1 Mech series for 4 or 5 years, and then ended up in quite a famous series called TVR Tuscans, 450 horsepower, 800 kilo cars.
Yeah,
And
big,
then,
big crowd favourite.
And then went to the chairman of TVR and said, I've got an idea to build a GT car, and much like you see GT3 cars today, it was the forerunner of that series. And TVR backed me, and TVR eventually went to Le Mans with that car, and I then discovered Moser cars in Florida. I became the manufacturer of Moser race cars in England.
I've been horrendously addicted to these TVRs my entire life.
Oh, right.
You got that deep into that series. You're the
Yeah, I
man.
did 5 years, yeah. Sadly, I never won the championship, but I think I came 2nd or 3rd 5
Yeah,
times.
he was.
I was a bit too aggressive.
I have huge respect.
Yeah.
I never learned that sometimes you've got to take your punishment. And when I look back on that time now, that's the biggest mistake I've made, was not being patient.
Yeah, we those that come from England know that the TVR Championship was one of the best around for many years. So competitive, lots of power under your foot, always spectacular racing, and I can't believe you didn't win the championship.
I know, it was my mate Fluxy. As I say, it was my own fault. I was very aggressive and very hot-headed. I've matured significantly these days, although some would say not. But anyway, we ended up with Moslers, which is an American-made sports car, and which was a great time. Went to Daytona 24 hours, did that a couple of times, finished on the podium. Then I ended up at Le Mans with prototypes in the top class, and we were racing against Audi. And in our very first race at Sebring, we were lying in third place overall with 2 Audis in front of us and 1 Audi behind us. So I've had quite a mixed and varied career. I'm on the downhill slope significantly now, and but still, I still got one of my Le Mans cars, and we still enjoy racing. And now my son is going to have his first race at Silverstone 24 hours in April.
Yeah, that sounds good. I remember when your boys were knee-high to a grasshopper, as we would say, but now wants to go and race with Dad, so that looks pretty promising. What are your thoughts on that? Did you encourage him, or did he just want to do it?
No, I've always said that I've got 2 sons, both named after cars. One's called Morgan and the other one's called Marcus. And I've said to them that if you want to go racing, you're going to do it the same way as me, and that's figure out how to pay for it yourself. And because the best advice my father ever gave to me was, I'm not paying for it, son, you need to find your own money. And that's what made my career. Finding the money to do it yourself. You've got to be completely obsessed in whatever you do to make a success of it. And I was totally obsessed with motor racing. My boys aren't. They've been all around the world. They've been to Australia and America and done 24 hours all over the place. And to them, going racing is just like normal life. So they haven't. It's a different thing for them. They're more interested in football and acting, and so the racing, I think, is more with my son. Is probably more for me than it is for him. I'm not forcing him to it at all. We're both going to enjoy it, but we're just doing it for fun, because you have to remember that when you first start going motor racing, you do it for fun.
Yeah. So just going back to that Daytona race, 24 hours, who were the co-drivers? Who were the drivers that were with you? Can you remember that far back?
Gunnar Jeanette.
Yeah.
He's American. I can't remember the other guy.
Don't worry. But you nearly had a top
Tony
3.
Seiler, he was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we finished third in a Celine.
Yeah.
The second time I went there was with the Moser, my friend Joao Barbosa, who raced with me. He was our driver for 4 or 5 years, and since he raced at Le Mans with me, he's become really big in America in the Rolex Series or whatever it's called these days. He's won Daytona outright, I think, 2 or 3 times. He's got too many watches.
Yeah, he should share them out. So going back to Le Mans, I know it was a great time, but also a troubled time. How was the racing at Le Mans? Is it something you'll always remember?
Yeah, you never forget that. It's the race starts 6 months before you do it, and the work is involved just to qualify for it and be invited to race is immense. There are certain things you always remember: the sound of the klaxon of cars coming in the pit lane. You never forget that. The sound of the Corvettes as they launch into the pit lane. You never forget that. The noise is horrendous. I had one crash there. Don't forget that either. But it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on TV, sadly. But glad you're still with us.
Thank you very much.
Any future plans? What are your future plans for racing?
Just a bit of historic stuff with the Le Mans cars now, and see what happens with my son. And but I'm done. I've had 31, 32 years of racing, and I've enjoyed it. And when you have a very high peak performance, and as you get old, you know you can't do it anymore. You can't reach that performance, and And when you know you can't do it, it's just not the same. You can't live with yourself knowing that you can't hold your head up high and be as quick as you were.
Yeah. Well, I've certainly got a lot of memories, and I know the UK motorsport fraternity know Martin real well. Obviously, fond memories. And
It's too kind.
well, you got to be.
All right, well, let me ask you some racing questions here about these 24-hour endurance races.
Yeah.
We've recently been actually having this talk with some fans, and we were trying to express how the driver changes happen and how it's truly a massive ordeal. As we saw in the Daytona 24-hour race, our gentleman who lost his legs many years ago, his name escapes me.
Zanardi.
Thank you. So the Zanardi record,
Olympic champion. Yeah.
unreal, man.
Yeah,
unreal. And none of us are even anything compared to what he's done now. But that guy, you know, to be able to have the frame of mind to focus and get in the car, even through the trouble he had with the wheel not working right this year, or when they couldn't get the computer cycle, or whatever really came down to that problem. To keep that mental state of calmness and then go out and go after it the way he did. Tell us about what that's like. How intense it is to jump into the seat and not have things go fluid.
It's about the 10,000 hours to success, and what it takes to become a world champion in anything that you do is 10,000 hours. If you're going to be a pop star or a motor racing driver or whatever, but if you invest 10,000 hours in it, you're going to be really, really competent at the end of it. And 10,000 hours is a lot of years. And but you know, combined with that, you've got to have the right mental frame to want to get in a racing car and do those things. There are many people want to do it and can't. You've got to have what's in you first of all, and then you put the hours in, and then all the training kicks in, and the repetitiveness. And Alex, you know, he's one of the most competent drivers that's ever been. I remember him watching him at Laguna Seca at the corkscrew when he pulled off that amazing manoeuvre and won the championship, I think on the last lap or something. What's left of my hair is standing up right now thinking about it. And you know, you just, you know, as you are used to being in front of the microphone, you know, it's the same deal. You've done this, obviously you're doing this for a long time. So that's, it sounds very blasé, but that's the truth. It's just
that repetition can be said for something, absolutely.
It is a repetition.
Yeah, absolutely. So when in those 24-hour races, we were also talking about the pit stops and how the duration is not as rushed as you'd say on NASCAR. We got to get in and out in 15 seconds. You know, we're out here.
Yeah.
You guys spend, you know, a good minute and a half at times. We see everything aside from the driver change. Tell us the details that really go into that. I see these guys. They're taking the tire off and setting it down and putting it. It's none of this toss and roll.
Well, it's because I mean, we used to do quick pit stops. Well, the problem with quick pit stops is accidents happen, especially when you're refueling, as you know, you see quite often in NASCAR and all sorts of stuff. So what the regulators did was, first of all, they mandated that you can only do the driver change whilst you're refueling, and then in the refuelers you've got restrictors so that they know the fuel's going to take 42 seconds, which is enough time to have a leisurely driver change, so nobody's forgetting to put belts on.
Smart stuff.
Yeah, so
I appreciate that.
And then the rest of the time cars on, but you're only allowed maybe 2 guys, and you're only allowed 2 guns and 2 helpers to pass the tyres. Because before, when I was doing them on, it was all hands to the deck. Almost no limit to how many people. No, it wasn't quite. I think there was maybe 6 people. But the regulators, you know, regulations are what will make the sport safer and will slow things down. And you know, Barry was just telling me a little while ago that somebody got injured in the pit lane. Yeah. And you know, and I watch this stuff when I do watch NASCAR on TV. Go, blimey, this is hot stuff. And I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be like that. I don't know, but I'm sure it's all part of the excitement, the whizzing of the guns.
Yeah, it's that competitiveness to get the extra position. So coming out 2 seconds, 1 second earlier than the other guy. Yeah. Maybe they should put a time limit and say everybody does a 30-second pit stop. Who knows?
Well, that's what they do in Europe in the GT3 series in Blancpain. And I can tell you it's a horrible thing to be part of when you're subjected to those regulations, when you have a mandated pit stop time. Because one of the great things about racing and endurance racing in the pit stops is the ability of the team to make a difference. And that's reflected in a pit stop and the amount of times that races are won or lost because of a good or a bad pit stop, which we all appreciate. But when Spa 24 hours, if you ever get a chance to watch it streamed on TV or whatever, there's a classic example of racing going horribly wrong because all the fuel regulations, all the pit stop times, everything is down to the millisecond, and you mustn't go under those times. And if you do, you get so badly penalised that you're out of the race essentially. And so it becomes very metronomic. And then all it relies on is the drivers, and if a driver's going to make a mistake, because all the drivers are so close together, they're separated, as we say in England, by a fag paper, and that's here. It's a cigarette paper.
No worries, unregulated, we're good.
Yeah, so it does make for very boring and sterile. It makes it sterile. But I think we're getting used to it, and I think it's good for safety.
It is a fine line indeed. And I was thinking about this a couple of years ago. We actually talked about it, Barry, about how too much time in NASCAR allows for guys to goof off and end up giving a little hip check into the car to put a little aero depression into the car. Giving them too much free time, they're going to start putting that somewhere else.
Right.
Changing the rules.
Yeah, maybe they should just keep to what they're doing now then, maybe. That's where all the competitiveness is, and all these athletes as pit crews. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So Martin, when are we going to be able to see you on the big screen again?
I don't think that's going to be happening. No, my days at the big screen are behind me, I think. So no, just looking forward to enjoying the next stage of life now, really, I think.
Yeah.
So I still enjoy the racing, and certainly when I get behind the wheel of a car, the same things happen, but just not as quickly as they used to happen. So.
Yeah, I just don't trust the roadways. The roadways are so terrible. The heat and debris, just the people driving on our local roads. I'm always so scared just going from my house to the track. That's more of a dangerous trip than actually being on that racing surface.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Martin when we was coming up here. I was saying, you probably won't see as bad drivers that you do in Vegas. Every trip is just a trip to forget. But anyway, we'd like to thank Martin. He's just taken
a bit of a shock.
Yeah, he wasn't planning this at all, guys. So Martin said he'll come along, and he found a few minutes. So he's come all the way from the other side of town, and he's heading off on a huge road trip now with his new RV.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you before you depart. Where's your next stop? Where are you heading to?
We're going across to, starting with Hoover Dam, then we're going to Grand Canyon and the meteorite crater, and then we're heading down, and we're going to end up Houston, Austin, Texas. There's an RV park there.
Got to hit Roswell, New Mexico. So
Roswell, we're going right through Roswell, and then across the coast, New Orleans. We're going to see the USS Alabama. I want to see a battleship. And then we're going to start heading up. And in fact, I've got an invite of an hour ago to go to Chip Ganassi Racing in Charlotte. I put up on Facebook a picture of us two. And somebody said, hey, you're passing. Come and see us at Chip Ganassi.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So I'm going to see a NASCAR shot.
There you go.
Got to have that for sure. Yeah. We were just talking about Kyle Larson as well. We're ready to rock. Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Martin. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Been a pleasure. Great.
All right. You don't take that, boss. So, Barry, we were talking a couple weeks ago about, let me switch this up. We were talking about the safety and the innovations in NASCAR. So figured we could wrap up our evening talking about some of that again. And we've got a little bit of paraphernalia that I brought here. Here, just hang out here. Let me bring them on over. So we recently had Daytona. There's a piece of Daytona. Here's a piece of Daytona. These fenders are from different cars, all three of these here. These are from 3 different years, but the same racetrack. Thinking about the innovation. This is 2012. This is Mark Martin's here, the old number 55. Let's see who we got there.
Robbie
is Robbie Gordon, Daytona 500, 2007. And first of all, let's just...
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
All different materials.
This is so heavy for such a small part of bodywork.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Crazy. It really is.
We're looking at, what's that, about half an inch, quarter inch of material. That's pretty close to that. And what's odd is it almost looks like a wooden material on the cross cut there. And over here, we got Mark Martin's from 2012. So this is now a bunch of years later there. No material inside, just pure sheet metal from the same part of the car. And then, of course, we jumped to Jeff Burton's from 2012 as well. Pretty much the same, but I figured I'd bring two from two different teams at the same year so we can at least look at the fastening techniques that they use. You'll notice up here they're using... Okay, that was unintended interruptions. No worries. So, as we were saying, yeah, the composite materials have really changed. Putting those dents in there, dinging them up, that opportunity is still there. But hopefully with these new computers, they're going to be monitoring that down in the pits and be able to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, as you say, I think the security side of the pit lane with the NASCAR personnel watching every move even more now. Plus the fact that, these cars are going to be inspected straight after the race. So, we could be losing winners very easily at the moment. So I think these managers are going to, they're going to be trying to find the limit, but they're not going to be as kind of iffy as they were the last couple of years when they know they were just going over the edge and knew they could probably get away with it. I think with the possibility of losing a win straight away, I think it's going to be a different ball game this year.
Well, I've always said it's easier to win by the rules when you play by the rules.
Very true, very true. But we've had the testing with the NASCAR just a month or so ago at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The drivers seemed to think it was pretty good. Let's just hope that it does get better, because I think the side drafting is probably one of the biggest things for me that ruins racing, where a driver can just get up close to another car and put them in the wall.
Suck that wind off.
Yeah.
And change his whole dynamic.
I would rather see drivers using their race skill other than using that side drafting, personally.
Yeah, and the same thing applies though to open wheel. They're doing the same thing. Every form of racing's got its way of giving that guy a head and anchor behind him. So I know we're still playing with physics at that point, and then it says, how do we change the body style so it doesn't allow for that? It's really, really interesting thoughts of where we're going to be going. The big thing though, that we're going into Vegas here, the braking ducts. We didn't have the braking ducts in Atlanta. I guess they were still like molded closed. And these are going to have the opportunity for them to keep those open. But did you notice how much brake usage was happening in that Sunday Cup race?
No.
They were pulling those tires off and just tons of brake powder just falling out. And I expected to see some rotors catching on fire. It didn't happen, but these things were cooking. And that's short track kind of stuff there.
But I must admit, I thought the Atlanta race, the NASCAR Cup race, was probably better than it has been in the last 3 or 4 years. The racing was much closer. So
that's interruption, like from an airplane. Did you hear that station coming in there? That was pretty weird. So all in all though, this is going to be a good season. That's a radio. That's like somebody's CB stomping on the transmission. How strange. That's hey, we are in Vegas, got all these UFOs coming over.
That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely correct. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Barry, great show.
Great show.
Good opportunity.
We've had some good
So,
guests.
for the rest of you, we'll be broadcasting. Yeah, that's a semi-truck. We'll be broadcasting Saturday, 6 p.m. down in Turn 4, Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Infield, right under the scoring pylon. All right, Barry, you good to go?
We are good to go. Good show.
We'll be seeing you at the track. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
That's weird.